Untier talk, gonna lay down some facts. Fact one, Hajad's not here. He's too busy. Sometimes we record late or like days late. That doesn't work this week. Fact two, I'm sick, so I'm gonna sound a little weird and I'll periodically like turn away to blow my nose, feel really guilty about how I don't edit this podcast. Fact three, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. Fact four, we have Specs and Tone here today. Hi.
Hi. That's not a fact, that's a foregone conclusion.
What, that we have Specs and Tone here? It's not foregone.
It is now.
I mean, they didn't know that.
I guess not until... Well, no, they saw, like, the Jigglypuff and the Clodsir.
No, I'm not doing
true, you don't have that anymore. Yeah, so I guess it is foregone.
Oh, you know what? I could totally still make it, because, I had, like, the pictures with, like, the guests and stuff, and I would put that over, like, the bulk of the podcast, but, like...
Just put it in three corners of the screenshot.
Well, no. What I should do is still make that the thumbnail, but I don't. I've just been making the thumbnail. Like, I haven't touched the thumbnail. I've just been leaving it as like screen capture stuff. But you know what? I should go back and like fix my thumbnails. That seems like it wouldn't take that long and be consistency.
That's for another time, though.
Yeah. Anyway, Snake happened, and we're gonna do that, but more of it. Yeah, Hajad couldn't be here for it, but I also do have a couple notes from him on like general. There were a couple things he wanted me to mention, but I don't remember what they are, so I'm going to remind myself. He had this. Yeah, okay. So he said I need to bitch about Scyther being bad because the first game is Tom Zeri. So I'll say I get what the Zelenet core was going for here, in that like the things that they are trying to do are things that look like they are good versus most typical Tom things, but it's still objectively a whack-ass team that has problems, and like all teams have some problems, and I'm not saying like obviously I just think this is like one of those higher dimension of fishings where like they really need Tom to stick to the same things he's been doing, and they got it, and it worked. So as much as we can be like, oh my god, he's got a Scyther and a Sash Omastar with like only defog drag volley, it makes sense versus Tom's stuff, and it worked out here. So yeah, that's my take on it.
I'm not really mad at the team, to be honest. Like, I don't like Scyther, like, pretty much at all. But I really like the little Eradicate tech that happened turn one to, like, open up the Omastar.
Well, yeah. This one weirds me out. Why does he need to lure Girder for this team?
I don't think it was the fact that he lured Girder. The Girder switched into Eradicate.
No, I mean the Eradicate is supposed to lure Girder. That's what the final gambit like is for. That's what it's doing.
I honestly thought that team preview it didn't matter because he had like potential triple priority. But when I saw the Skunk Tank not sucker punch the Omastar,
well, the Skunk Tank was sucker. It was that the Floatzel wasn't Jet.
I'm surprised he didn't sucker the turn he sent it out. That was the thing that got me.
Oh yeah, he should have. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong, but we'll get to that whole sequence. No, it was the Floatzel. The Floatzel didn't have Aqua Jet, and that's the one thing. I say it's mostly good versus the stuff that Tom uses, but Tom uses a lot of Floatzel, and Banded Aqua Jet fucking sucks for Zeri, because Omastar can be hit into that not with relative ease, and then Rock Polish Golurk is just not gonna be good versus Banded Aqua Jet. So
yeah. His water responses was pretty like lackluster outside of Silvally Dragon.
Yeah,
I think he was hoping that like he wouldn't face like Float Stout, and he could rely on like Matang and like Dragon Valley to kind of eat the hits, and maybe put it into like Eradicate. Because was it Scarf Eradicate? I don't think Final Gambit would be on any other set.
I would assume it was Scarf, like max HP.
I would think, but we don't know, and I never asked that. I don't know. Like
Yeah,
it's definitely some funky
I
stuff.
could check real quick, but I doubt it would matter.
Yeah, I mean, we can check the HP.
Is for the girders, so
we could check the HP, but it still could be like non-scarf with the max HP. Either way, fortunately for Ziri, like Tom's team, I think mostly generally works. It's a little awkward in places with like Altaria and Roxaurus in like the way that they're kind of awkward mons at what they do. Not being super strong makes the team a little weird. I think overall it mostly functions all right, but the bad float set really hurt. Special float is bad, and like I can't justify that more than like the blanket statement of it really sucks that he was special float here. And float in general is a bit of a weird pick, I guess. But I still would have gone like banned float and then free up the sucker slot on your banned skunk. Or free up the pursuit slot on your banned skunk. And like, yeah, the special float just absolutely bit me in the ass here.
Yeah, anywhere where special float is good, banded is pretty much better. Like any time in this meta. I'm really not a fan of it either.
Yeah, the Eradicate was confirmed max HP.
Okay, that's cool.
It was. I would say it's Scarf, and then like you violate.
It had to be Scarf.
Yeah, it's probably Scarf. But that's the thing. Like special float could. There are ways where it could have been better. Like against Ziri's team, it's better at pressuring, Eviolite Scyther and the Drag Volley, and obviously like if you don't want to lock yourself into Ice Punch if it goes Metang or whatever. But like the lack of Jet was really the killer here, which sucks because I think special float is bad in general, but it's not even special float that was the problem. It was non-jet float.
Yeah.
So two teams that like have their strengths. I don't think either of them are completely suck, but like
I guess he just wanted the added speed because his team was slow without floatzel anyway.
Yeah, he absolutely needs the speed control, and he lacks a Scarfer. So, if Float was a Scarfer, then it'd be harder to revenge. Because I get not wanting your only speed control to be a choiced Mon, because choiced Mons are riskier to hit moves with. So I get not wanting to make it like banned Float or whatever.
Scarf Skunk Tank would have probably been a lot better here.
Then this team would be so weak, though. Like, banned Skunk is a much better breaker than banned Floatzel, just because its resists are more awkward, I think.
I mean, in this case, he wouldn't have. I mean, Scarf Skunk would have outsped the Omastar then.
I'm pretty sure it's slower than Omastar, but I maybe.
It speeds Costa, but not Alma.
Yeah. Either way, I think it's important to go less about. It's less about like what matchup were you looking for almost in Tom's team. It's more of like a general thing. Whereas Ziri's like, yeah, Ziri's is really built towards beating Tom's specific stuff. So I think that's more reasonable, and you can see with like the rock polish Golurk especially, I think is normally a good pick versus Tom, and then he ended up running into the banned Sucker and the Float, but then it was not Jet Float, so it was still like nice versus Tom, and it didn't even come out, but like RP Golurk was not bad at all. The idea of this kind of offense. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to start actually going through this game. I think we did a lot of the preview. So like it starts off with the not Golurk, Girder. Yeah, it immediately final gambits, and like the Girder is just, oh no, it's at 6% already. Which does create a weird dynamic for Tom, because now the whole game is like, well, if Omastar smashes, I'm going to be kind of scared. It can't smash easily, but it can do it on Skunk choiced in the wrong thing. So already he like can't really pursuit trap anything. If rocks go up, the Girder's dead. So like the team is already, Ziri's gimmicks are already doing work. I think that's important to note, that like it really starts out well, and it only goes badly for Ziri when he runs into something that he doesn't expect, like the Sleep Powder Victory Bell, which could have been absolutely massive for Tom in this game, Yeah,
it really like opened up doors for him to like beat things that it normally wouldn't. and force switches where it wouldn't otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So I think.
And keep rocks off for the girder to be alive and have Mach Punch for the Omastar.
Yeah, which didn't play out in the end, but I think Sleep Powder Vic is pretty underrated, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
I think it's really good for getting sequences that you want otherwise.
Yeah, and sometimes we talk about how if you're going special or physical, you can miss out on certain things, but Sleep's gonna hit pretty much everything that wants to come in on Vic because it beats all the grass types. So that's a thing.
Yeah. Plus his Fire Blast ult, so he's not really missing out on hitting Ferroseed, and you're heavily chipping it with Band Skunk. And I don't think he's missing out on much.
I would be interested to know what you guys think of turn 5, where Ziri has the drag volley versus the Skuntank, and he just flamethrowers right into it. And this was a turn where I can't honestly say I see any reason not to drop the Draco. I don't the only reason I think is if for some reason he didn't want the Silvally to get the special attack drop.
Yeah.
But I can't see why that's a problem to just hit.
I would assume that only on the off chance for some reason he didn't have Draco. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if he didn't reveal Parting Shot or U-turn or anything.
Doesn't he use it? I'm pretty sure he uses it turn 6, right? He
never Parting Shotted.
No, okay. So turn 6 he also flamethrowers again instead of Draco, so I guess he wasn't.
I don't think he had Draco.
Okay.
Parting Shot, that's a different story because we can go through the game. I don't think there's a point where he should have Parting Shotted and didn't. But yeah, I guess this was non-Draco, which confuses me heavily. But we don't know.
Yeah, because I guess the flamethrower into Surf on Aurora's made sense because nobody runs Surf Dragon, so.
Oh right, it was Surf. I guess it was flamethrower Surf because it's the only removal, and he wants it to be better versus Mudsdale.
Yeah,
but even then, that speaks to why Draco's just better, and in terms of getting hits off, and it kind of speaks to the overall issue of maybe only Silvally Dragon as your remover is not the best thing. And also, if you want to just 1v1 the Mudsdale, why not Silvally Water? I get it, you're going to be weak to Eel, but see, all these weakness trade-offs are really annoying for him. So I think the only way you can really justify this is, again, they really wanted to have that matchup versus the Tom stuff, and it worked out. So, props to them. But, it's kind of one of those weird things that get pointed out.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the Surf. I get the idea behind it. Dropping your Spatak sucks in, situations where, I don't know, just situations. But, yeah, I think the overall power and just, you hit everything in the tier, basically, with it. It's really hard to pass up.
Yeah.
But if it was a prep, then, I can't, knock it too much. It worked out.
I gotta assume, right? Because, I want the Eel check, but then I don't want to just Draco versus Muds and then not be able to hit it after, because then Muds is going to rock on you. But even then,
I think
you're barely an Eel check. Without Draco, it's going to volt on you for free.
Not lower your special attack, so when he volt switches out, you're going to get, your opponent to get momentum on the Dragon. That's the only thing I think of.
Yeah. But then you have the fast Parting Shot, so, I don't know.
It's a weird build, but against this specific matchup, it worked out. So
it felt like the Dragon had a lot of roles into it. There was a lot of small reasons why it was there over say the Water, Silvally.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I don't think Water's gonna fit just because the Eel pivots are awkward, but the whole team is still just in that really weird place. So he surfs the Aurorus and then just defogs, and it's well, I guess that solo remover worked as long as Aurorus never sets rocks again, which it probably won't. So that's a thing. And yeah, Tom just ends up sacking it. So it does work out. And I think versus Tom teams, from what we've seen, that solo remover did work out.
It also got rid of the hail for the Sash Almastar, so that's really good.
That's also true, yes.
Yeah, I don't think he should have sacked the Auroras, looking back.
I mean, to be fair, he said he didn't expect the Omastar to be Sash.
This is true, but even then, I think there was very little issue in going hard Altaria on the Scyther. Scyther's going to U-turn. What are you afraid of coming in on Altaria? Nothing.
Yeah, it does really well in this matchup too.
You want to save sacks. As just a general principle, you would like to have rocks also, like if Metang comes in, you can sack Girder, go Auroras, and set rocks. Well, I guess maybe it's Bullet Punch. Although if it's max Timid Auroras, it should also outspeed the Golurk. They're like little things that is not much of a reason not to go Altaria, or even go Victory Bell and just helmet it right then. Although, no, Victory Bell is not super useful at all. So yeah, you could have done that. So weird sack. There's a couple of turns where like the Skunk gets the Banded Crunch on the Scyther and then it takes helmet. It's at like 2%, so that's more reason for priority to be good. And then this is this part where afterwards we're really discussing, like this is where it seems like Tom's play kind of falls apart. Turn 12, where he starts by strength sapping the Metang with his Victory Bell that doesn't need health, and he's wasting sleep turns on this thing that he does not want to let set rocks.
Yeah, he didn't need health on it at all. Like everything either killed it. Yeah, everything killed it.
There's just nothing. And then after the sap, he's gonna go Altaria and like slowly Fire Blast it, but that lets Metang wake up and set rocks. Whereas he could have gone hard band Skunk and at least put out that immediate pressure. And I guess if Metang immediately woke up,
I still would have went hard Altaria.
Well, the thing is, if Metang immediately wakes up before Band Skunk kills it, then and sets rocks, then the Omastar is going to be a problem. Because it can set up on the Skunk. But on the other hand, if you're going Altaria, Metang is guaranteed those rocks, and then Omastar can set up, and even if he's not Sash, all Ziri has to do, he forces the Draco, he doubles to Scyther, sacks it, goes back to Omastar and smashes. Like, you don't have much of a play there because the Omastar is a big threat. You need to go Skunk to have that chance.
I know that Tom didn't expect the Sash at all, and it's easy to say this now, but looking back, him going hard Alma, like onto the ult, not hard, but he went into it, I think speaks volumes to like Tom could have maybe defogged, got rid of the rocks, went banned Skunk, Sucker into Mach.
He defogged and then he rocked again.
With what?
No. It's Omastar comes in on the Altaria after the Metang's dead. So what happens in the game, skipping ahead a bit, the Metang wakes up, it gets to set rocks. Altaria, can't win with defog, so that's just going to happen. And then he makes the play of killing the Metang with Fire Blast. Now what Specs is saying, as the Omastar comes in, what you can do is defog, go hard Skunk, try to win the Sucker War, and then go Girder and Mach Punch the Omastar. That's mildly tricky just because Omastar is then going to let Rock Polish Golurk set up, which is going to win. So what you would need to do is Mach Punch, then go Skunk, try to win the Sucker 50-50, and then try to win it again versus the Golurk at some point. So that I don't know about that. Instead, let me suggest two alternate things. First, Sash doesn't matter here. Sash is a surprise factor, but I think Sash works fine on Omastar. He's already got the Z move on Golurk. White Herb messes with weak armor. Why not run Sash as just a random thing? You don't need Chopple if you're luring Girder with the Alolan Rat too. So why not Sash? But the main thing is, instead of killing Metang with Altaria, when he's spamming rocks, just go hard Floatzel. I mean, what does your taunt Floatzel have to fear? You killed the Metang, you killed the Golurk, you killed the Scyther. All he's got is the Sash Omastar, which can't kill you. You could hard taunt the Omastar if you're that afraid, but you could also Hydro it and then at least just have to win like the Sucker there, and then you get into Sucker Wars if you hard Hydro. But like, if you go hard Floatzel on the Metang that's just spamming rocks, Ziri has no setup opportunity. Whereas if you leave in an Altaria, Z-move or not, he's clearly going to be able to set up with either Omastar or Golurk or both. And at this point, you should be aware that Golurk is probably Rock Polish, given that the Metang is rocks. That's where I think he went wrong. Just go hard float.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, he could also be like banned Golurk, but I completely see. This whole no jet Floatzel just completely screwed up his endgame.
There's also 100%. That, yeah. Like, if he was jet Floatzel, none of this would have mattered. He wouldn't have needed to play better because jet Floatzel just revenges the Sash Omastar. But instead, all we see is Sash Omastar sets up on the Altaria and then wins the one Sucker 50-50 that's not a 50-50 because your only play was Sucker.
Yeah, I think moral of the story is use a physical float. Or at least Aquajet float on special. Yeah.
Or better speed control, one or the other.
Or better speed control.
Yeah, I mean, if you're triple prio, I don't think you need the Scarfers. Just, that's the thing. He's not.
I didn't think this was what was going to happen with 3 potential priority users.
Yeah.
You would think.
Let's also be clear. Some people are saying, oh, it's like a Sucker 50-50 in the Skunk versus Omastar turn. It's not. Ziri's always going to attack the Skunk. If Skunk crunches, Ziri wins. Because obviously, if you went Skunk, you're not Jet Floatzel. And like, even if you are, what are you going to do about it? And if Tom suckers and you die, you get to go to Rock Polish Golurk and get another 50-50. There's no reason why you wouldn't attack it. Like,
yeah.
I get that there's a bit of a skew in like, oh, well, Tom's going to know that there's no reason not to attack it. So he's definitely going to sucker, so I should smash or whatever. But like, the 50-50, quote unquote, is definitely skewed one way, where Ziri has a much safer play.
Well, even if it was like a straight 50-50, like who knows, nobody has like something that they exactly want to do. It's still Tom's best option, just given what he has on the team left. Like, he still has to make that play anyways. So, yeah. Unfortunate.
Yeah. So, Tom doesn't sucker and Omastar sweeps, and that's the game. So, Scyther is now 1-0, I believe. No, Gary the Gang already used it. So, but Scyther has a win. Deepest apologies to Jad.
Can't see this madness.
Alas. And that's 0-3 for Tom, 1-5 for his team. And Ziri is now back up to 3-2 after losing his first 2 weeks, I believe. So, there's that.
Good job, Ziri.
In terms of overall records, I'm just pulling that off the top of my head, too. I am so all over Snake. Soulgazer versus Teddy probably needs the least amount of discussion on it. Because, the game that happened. But I'm interested in what you guys think of Teddy's team.
Do you want to go first, Tom?
Well, to be perfectly honest, it was kind of like, I don't want to say it was a Teddy team. Like, I thought at the beginning when I saw the Drenpa just spamming Dragon Pulse, and I saw that the Lantern getting the toxic off from the Drenpa and then racking up the damage, and then I could see, oh, the Dragon Pulse is doing slightly more and more. For some reason, it's this Drenpa metronome. That's the first thing I thought, which was, I don't know what the actual item ended up being, but I think
I'm almost certain it wasn't a metronome like maybe, but I'm pretty sure. No, I actually know what the Drampa was. It wasn't revealed. It's not metronome, but yeah, I know it from Teddy. But like more in terms of like the overall, structure preview, because I have thoughts on this, but I want to like wait and hear what you guys think first.
Well, it's kind of like difficult, especially because I don't want to take like the like the hacks into consideration with like.
I mean, just the preview, not the game. Just
okay. Well, all right. So from preview, well, kind of like it technically could have been like a 50-50 either way. I still feel like the biggest issue for Soul Gazer from
no. I mean, like what you think of Teddy's team.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going too far ahead.
No, you're good.
Okay. I think, from Teddy's team in general, I think it's more of the fact that, well, first and foremost, there's a semi-seer on it, so glad to see that thing finally get some more usage. But I think it's like a very well-built, sort of balanced team, which is, I think it's pretty much designed to let semi-seer clean in the late game. But overall, I think it has a very good balanced core. I think the only real problem I kind of want to say, well, to a lesser extent, maybe could be Omastar, but I don't know if the Rotom was Scarf. I think it was Scarf, just based on the team composition. But I think it's still like a very balanced team in general. I can't really go into too much detail in terms of how he builds or whatnot, because I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I'm used to seeing more.
I just want first impressions, and
I'm when it comes to Teddy, I'm used to seeing a lot more bulk. The Semi-Seer caught me by surprise, but yeah, I really like the team overall.
Yeah, I'll be a bit shorter. I like the build, to be honest. I think Jellicent is really cool at the moment. Both specs and bulky. I like seeing Drampa used as well. It just gives Teddy a lot of ways to get things in that are threatening. And versus this kind of team that Soulgazer brought, I think that I think Semi-Seer is really good against Soulgazer's builds, from what I remember. And he has the Drampa and Skunk to take advantage of Lantern, and yeah, I like the build.
Yeah, so I kind of just wanted to talk about it briefly because I really enjoy the difference of the build in a way that doesn't start running into the crazy gimmicks, because I think a lot of the different builds have been very specific weird idea. I don't mean gimmicks in the bad idea. I mean, if you look back at things the Zeri Talent team from this week, or even the one from first week, which was a Bronzor Semi-Sage type thing. When I say gimmicks, I mean these very specific niche ideas. Whereas I think Teddy has what's on its face a pretty non-standard balance core. Aside from the muds, this isn't what you expect, from your quote-unquote typical PU team. But I think it actually comes out in a way that could be considered pretty standard. I don't think there's any major super common Pokemon that is going to absolutely demolish what he has or anything. I think it functions surprisingly well for something that looks fairly different from the norm. When I try to think of weaknesses, it's not anything super common really. It's more things Subcoil Eel is probably going to be a problem. Kind of weirder stuff. Obviously, a good team with specific cores is going to have options, but Teddy has options to also outplay on his own end. So I think that's really cool that it's not a Vikiel Muds based Scarfape kind of thing, but I like that it feels like a more broad kind of different team.
I think the Hail matchup can maybe get out of hand. Just relying on the Jellicent a lot.
Yeah.
I guess you can pivot into Roris with Rotom sometimes, but
no, don't get me wrong. It's going to be awkward, but I think Hail also is almost always Semi-Seer week, so that's a plus.
Yeah.
Soulgazer, it should also be noted, is using an old team from someone else's replays. This was talked about. I don't remember. I believe it was Taskers, and he had some really interesting stuff to say in Discord that you don't typically see done in PU, but you see it done a lot more in other tiers, which I really do want to read his comments. Yeah, okay, I found it. So he says, I just want to clear out something. I've played Team Tour since 2013, multiple tiers too. Sometimes you have to acknowledge that making a new team around a specific set will end up with a worse result than a team that has already been made. I like the look of LST's Kangablim and Tlenet's Sub Crab. Yeah, okay, it was Tlenet's Sub Crab team, right. The one that 6-0'd Rexus. So I went with their builds. In my opinion, there's nothing wrong with using others' teams. If anything, I feel that trying to reinvent the wheel can lead to shooting yourself in the foot. It's not the first time I played Teddy in a tournament, and I have to know that he'll be most likely to prep around what I've been comfortable with weeks 1 through 4, so I want to mix him up by using 6 mons I hadn't used yet. And it had an actually good shot. His Oricorio / Dodrio / Crab answers were minimal. I think that's really interesting, because I very much agree with that. But I feel like in PU, it's far less common compared to the other tiers I play in. Anything goes, Ubers, Little Cop, RU, whatever it is. You see a lot more willingness to kind of like reuse those teams around specific things when you think you have a goal in mind. Whereas in PU, the reusing like that and the using other people's teams like that, especially from replays, tends to be significantly less common. But yeah, I don't really have an issue. I think Soulgazer had a good idea here. I agree that he looks like he has a pretty solid matchup. Like, Teddy has a Rotom Simisear core and is facing a Lantern. That's automatically scary. It's also like sub Thunder Punch Crab to beat the Jellicent, and the Jellicent Mudstale Drampa core. So yeah, I think the idea behind that is interesting, and I wanted to like share that idea of, reusing a team in that way, even taking someone else's like that. There's good reason behind it.
Well, did people have an issue with it or something? Like, is that why he brought this
I don't
up,
think
or
anyone was like, damn,
of...
Soulgazer did that. That's shitty. I just think people were like, that's weird that he just reused it. I don't get it. Why is he stealing Tlenet teams?
Yeah, I guess if people like don't watch other tournaments other than like strictly PU ones, I guess they could see it as like an oddity.
Yeah, I mean, I know that a decent amount of the people who watch this don't follow outside of PU, but that's not to say that because other tiers do it, it's good. It's just to say I think there's actually good reason, and in theory, it could have worked quite well. That wasn't me, for the record.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. It's just I said I was going to be the one making sick noises, like coughing all over. Anyway.
Taking his thing.
There's honestly not a lot to say about the game, though. Like, Tone talked about the start a bit, where you have the Lantern Drampa doing, like, toxic things and stuff. A little weird that Soulgazer would necessarily risk, like, the Specs Drampa chipping the Lantern that he really wants, or even, like, non-Specs, just Lantern taking a lot of hits versus a Simisear Rotom team so early is a little odd, in my opinion. But regardless, what happens very early into the game is what happens on turn 6, where Crab comes in versus Skunk, gets crit and misses Ice Hammer, and then takes the Flamethrower, lives on 2%, but like dies to Aftermath, and he lost the Crab when he should not have lost the Crab, and that's really huge.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say the Crab would have won the game.
Well, I don't think it would have won the game. Like, after the non-crit Poison Jab and Aftermath, it's still going to be at like 40%. But that's still really useful.
You still take like Rotom Volt at that point, I think.
Yeah, and you're probably faster than Drampa at Mudstale, too.
I'd imagine on sub, yeah, for sure. You definitely want to invest there.
Yeah. So this is like a huge point where there's nothing you can do, and I don't think Teddy did anything wrong. Like, I think he played fine. It's just he also got that massive boon. That's just not good for Soulgazer.
Yeah, I definitely would put it out there that Teddy did play a good game. Like, even though he was up significantly because of some BS, I still think he played it really well with his Drampa to put himself into the end game well. Not that he had to make a lot of plays, but he just played solid Pokemon.
Mm. And Soulgazer admitted he made some plays he wasn't the most fond of. Although turn 9 was good. It was a good scout for the Bloom Doom Simisear. pivoting the Dodrio in on that. But it's one of those really interesting plays where it ends up being good in the short term of like I avoided getting my Lantern Bloom doomed, and bad in the long term because Scarf Dodrio was arguably like the win con here, and with Rocks and Brave Bird, it's already way too low to do any of that.
I mean, flying spam against a team with a flying resistance Rotom, that could have been like a very, very good like potential endgame, not even for Dodrio, but for Oricorio. But after the hacks, all Teddy had to do was basically keep Rocks up because Oricorio died to Rocks and just keep pivoting in and out between Claydol and between Jellicent to prevent Claydol from rapid spinning and all that stuff. So he basically just had to ensure that the Oricorio didn't come back in and try to revenge kill one of his bulkier mons because of the potential endgame with the Nasty Plot Simisear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he didn't have to play as safe with his Mudsdale, with Dode being so chipped.
Low. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I should say it is possible Soul Gazer expected either Teddy's going to go hard Dramp on the Lantern or Teddy's going to Nasty Plot, take the Skull, and then do some damage. So he may not have expected to take the Bloom Doom. But either way, that was the outcome where Dodrio takes a significant amount of chip, and then it Brave Birds into Mudsdale, takes more chip, and Teddy gets Rocks now. It's like, well, he doesn't get Rocks. He doubles out because Soul Gazer still has a Claydol. But then we get to the other reason that this game is just like, what are you going to do? Because the Mawile pivots in on Rotom Blizzard and gets frozen. It's like, Jesus, just... you got a problem.
Yeah, I didn't even think, like that wasn't, like massive. I mean, no Rocks definitely sucks, but Mawile wasn't that great in this matchup. But, it would have been able to maybe pivot in on...
Like, it's a rocker that's going to be pivoting in on Drampa. Like, you're going to have the Rocks and win that Rocks matchup when you need the Rotom and Simisear to be chipped. And also he said, like, he went Mawile because he did not want to risk Lantern getting tricked as, like, a reason why. So, yeah, it takes a lot of chip right there, but I still think the Mawile was going to be...
Oh, it definitely would have been great to have.
Like, without it, there's just so much less Soul Gazer can do in this game.
Well, you see all these doubles into, like, Simisear and, like, into Rotom and stuff like that, so the Rocks would have definitely, like, hindered Teddy's ability to do that.
For sure. And after that, the game's just, like, there's just not a lot. It feels very by the numbers.
Well, Soul Gazer doesn't have a lot to do, and Teddy doesn't have to do a lot. So it's like, just kind of, I go hard Rotom on Sensu sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, they're making some doubles. Like, Teddy doubles into Rotom, and Soul Gazer doubles into Lantern, but ultimately, Teddy has more usable Mons and better ways to hit Soul Gazer, and he has Rocks up. It's just, like, it's really just too much for him to effectively deal with.
That was, the basic thing. The main thing Teddy had to do was make sure he kept Rocks up. That was like the only thing he could have done. Like, as long as Rocks were up, the Oricorio was never going to be an issue.
He did play really well around the Claydol, to be honest. I don't know if you guys want to comment on the Claydol set if you've gotten there yet.
I mean,
well, I'm playing through it. It's on turn 26 now because like there's not a ton to say about these turns, so.
Yeah, I've kind of been skimming over it.
Like, I don't mind this particular Claydol, although it would have helped had he not faced off against a Jellicent, or at least had something to, like, chip away at the Jellicent, aside from, like, trying to fish for Spadef drops with Psychic or Earth Power. I guess he went for Earth Power. I think he went for Earth Power on the Jellicent. I think when Skunk Tank was still alive. Not Skunk Tank. On the off chance he decided to go, like, Hard Simisear or something like that. I don't really know.
Yeah, so he tries to Earth Power the Jellicent and gets burned for it, and then goes Hard Lantern. It just doesn't, like, he's trying. I think he's trying to catch doubles and over predictions. He spins as the Jellicent comes back in again. He's staying in. He gets like taunted, and disabled. And, like, there's just
in that situation, Teddy would never risk the win con. Like, he would never risk Simisear in a situation where it just wins.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said. Like, it's not that these individual turns don't have plays and interesting interactions. I just think ultimately, um, they're both playing pretty well, pretty reasonably, and there's just very little for Solgaz to do as he keeps switching back and forth between the clay doll and the lantern, and getting just slowly chipped by rocks because he can't do anything about those rocks. Dodrio comes in, can't even kill the Drampa, so that's not even an option. Like there's just nothing, and
Yeah.
Teddy ends up cleaning with Simisear just pretty convincingly. So unfortunate.
I was wondering what you guys think of Refresh Claydol, the ADV set. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on
Wait,
that.
was it Refresh? Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was asking
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah, I said I didn't mind this particular team.
Mhm.
I said I felt like if the Claydol could have did more in the specific matchup, then I wouldn't mind it as much as like if it wasn't for the fact that he had a Jellicent and Psychic or Earth Power wasn't going to do jack to Jellicent, and essentially Jellicent would beat it 1v1. Like even normal Hex without being burnt would still do a reasonable chunk to Claydol.
Well, I mean,
the residual damage you get back from leftovers wouldn't really like much of a difference. Like I understand like trying to chip it away with Will-O-Wisp and whatnot, but the Wisp was really more for just chipping away at the lantern. Like,
yeah, I think you're a little. I think you're a little on the wrong point. Like, yeah, obviously, refresh didn't mean a lot in this game here, but just in general, I think it makes sense because this team uses Claydol as the primary and only Mudsdale switch in. You don't want to get toxic. Like,
yeah, he's also not
sure.
Heal Bell Lantern, so
yeah. So I don't really have any issues with it. Obviously, it leads to other questions like, well, what if they have Band Absol plus Mudsdale or Band Stout plus Mudsdale? Now what are you going to do that you're only switching is kind of Pursuit Trap? But, you know, like, just in the sense of it's my Mudsdale switch, the only one. Yeah, sure, fine. I think we should keep moving, though, because certain things have just been, like, weirdly dragged out. So, Serene Grace versus False. This False team was actually built by Evagero, and then Hajad and False worked on it. That was the other thing you wanted me to say. It's not so. This isn't just a Hajad team. People are going, "Oh, it is a Sableye. It's a Hajad team."
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. He's not the only one who uses eject button Sableye. There are more hallmarks to a Hajad team. One of them is he typically tends to be pretty decent about removal, in my opinion. And that's the big thing with this team. For the most part, does it make sense? Yes. And I like the fighting spam with the pivot core. I think that's pretty cool. But obviously the no removal with the Simisear and the like whole Spikes Week team and all that, definitely a little bit of a questionable idea. And like Serene Grace has the tools to take advantage of it with a pretty by the numbers team, honestly. Like Serene Grace's team is fine, I think. It's pretty basic. Maybe a little slow, maybe a little weak, but like it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I
was expecting it to be Rest Talk Throw because of the T Spikes weakness. Like I know the T Spikes aren't that common, but like it absolutely does work against False's team, and especially because it's sub throw, so it's going to be constantly losing health.
Yeah, like I just don't think the team was thinking about hazards. Period. Because like if it's not T Spikes, even if you're Rest Talk, spikes are still woof.
You still get chipped in some other way.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just a problem. But the fighting spam is really cool, and Serene Grace has the like Quillfish that wants to get hazards up and die pretty early. So, and then the one fighting resist being the offensive Silvally Fairy, and that's also a problem because this team is pretty weak, and he needs SD Silvally Fairy to do breaking. But if it ever does and gets chipped, then like the girder plus not the girder, the throw plus Primeape is just going to go in. So, put Serene Grace in a really awkward position. But the hazards are what needed to do the job for him. So
yeah. I like Serene Grace's team too, to be honest. I really like I think the team functions really well, and I think SD Silvally Fairy is really dope. I think it was SD Parting Shot we saw.
Yeah, it was.
I think that's really cool. Like I think I prefer SD U-Turn, but maybe for like no helmet damage on Quill and stuff like that is
like it just feels kind of basic. I can't help but feeling like I don't know that this team is ever going to be amazing versus anything. And there's just a lot of random, like you cover most big threats, but not amazingly well to me. Like you have options versus things like Statland, but it feels like your team is just naturally the kind of team that's going to be pressured by them because it's weird about momentum. Like this team has weird momentum things where you don't want to get all your stuff chipped, but like only like your pivots are I don't know, it's hard for me to describe. I don't think it's the worst thing ever. Like I said, it's just kind of like But
do we know what the Sand Slash set was?
I would assume it was Scarf.
I would assume Scarf looking at this, but yeah, I don't believe we ever found out. So I'm gonna start playing it.
Sure.
The start is really annoying. So False brings Super Fang Electros, which I really like. I think Super Fang Electros is just like cool and fun. But he misses one Super Fang, and then he goes for it again, and Drampa gets off the Z move and does 70, and it's like, now you got to go throw, and you got like nothing off it. Well, that's just annoying because I like Super Fang. I'm sorry, it did nothing.
Yeah, it keeps missing, so we never get to see it like at its full potential.
Yeah, but the start is really weird. Where I think a lot of people commented on False's throw. He pretty much just like clicks buttons versus Quillfish as it gets up the spikes that it wants for free. And like I get that False wants to remove the Quillfish because it's annoying, but I did see people.
Serene was going to try to go fish for the skull burn immediately after he taunted the throw instead of getting up more spikes.
Why would you fish for the skull burn on a Gutsmon?
It's Guts throw. It isn't Mold Breaker.
I thought it was Mold Breaker.
Nope.
No, and
Never
like
showed
it wouldn't be. There's no reason for it to be Mold Breaker, and like no. Yes, like Serene Grace gets 2 spikes and preserves the Quillfish. So like, I get that False wants to chip the Quillfish, but starting out with 2 spikes was like, this is probably the best. Like Serene Grace has a hard matchup. This is absolutely what he wanted. Absolutely, like the 2 spikes that early, huge.
Yeah, I don't disagree with the sequence False made though. Like I see why he was kind of wanting to chip the Quill.
I don't know. Like if he expected hard taunt, it wouldn't have been that hard to go eel. But I guess you don't have a lot of options. The Quill's probably going to get hazards up. Turn 10-11 though, pretty interesting because Serene Grace gets in the Sylvali Fairy, goes for Swords Dance, and then like immediately needs to Parting Shot out because he can't let that Fairy Volley get weakened at all. And that's pretty annoying for him because like I said, your one Mon that's strong at killing things, SD Sylvali Fairy is a nice balance breaker. It can't hit buttons because as soon as it gets chipped, your late game versus Scarf Ape is going to be trying to preserve your Mudsdale, I guess. And your late game versus Throw is even worse. Like it's a problem for him. It's a real problem. That being said, False gets a massive, massive boon where he crit Earthquakes the Drampa. And like Serene Grace needed Drampa straight up. Without Drampa, Sableye just demolishes his team. It's just so useful. And Drampa was like, well, okay, if Sableye ever comes in and tries to hit a button, I get a free Draco. You can't take that hit really well. But instead it gets crit, and then it misses the Draco on Mudsdale too, so he doesn't even get that chip. And no Drampa. And False also reeling all out pummeling Mudsdale, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, I've also seen Teddy run like CC Mudsdale. I think it's interesting to do more to like eel and catch it.
Yeah, I respect it out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
No, nothing else. I'll keep going. I don't mind being the talky one.
No, that's fine.
So yeah, Serene Grace kind of just needs to go hard to Quillfish because the Mudsdale answer's not good and gets the burn to his credit, but he's just in such an awkward position. Like that's not where you want to be. And his only saving grace is like, hey, look, it's actually sub-coil eel. which was surprising, I think, because now it's like your team has even less pivots and is even weirder and even more anti-meta. And this is where I start thinking maybe the team is more on the like Zeri Tlenet side of specifically trying to beat False's common stuff because Subcoil Ill is just so weird here. But it doesn't even. It's not even enough because Sableye stops it. No problem. What are you gonna do?
Do they not run T-Punch on it?
I thought they should run Thunder Punch.
So I think they should, but he's running knockoff. And Teddy also. I was talking to Teddy about Subcoil Ill. I was like, yeah, Drain Punch knockoff. I have no idea why you would run knockoff. What? I don't.
Like Raichu Alola? I have no clue.
It's like it needs some. I don't really feel like knockoff would be like the least one you would use because even on the ones I would run, even without sub, like the coverage move I would probably run as Aqua Tail to do more damage to Mudstail.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is that you set up on Mudsdale. Like, I think it's EV to live the Rock Slide through like. The sub.
Yeah, and especially once you get the coils, Mudsdale's not a problem. You can do 2% to it after all the staminas, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think Knock is interesting.
I just don't get it.
It would have done a lot more to the Sableye.
Yeah, if he had Thunder.
Yeah, and then then it also like he knocked off the eject button and let it stay in. If Thunder Punch just forced it out, I still think False would have. I still think False would have ended up better here. He would have been fine. He's got like the Storm Throw plus whatever's left from the Sableye, plus the Spec Simisear to Revenge, and Primeape's like so close to winning late game, and so is Eel. Like I think he would have come out probably ahead, but it would give Serene Grace a lot more leeway to maybe win the game. But instead, like he knocks, and there's absolutely no problems for False. He can just stay in with Sableye and just nothing happens.
I honestly thought he kept knocking off because he was trying to like get Chip on the Mudstail coming in because he revealed the Z move.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but like he would have just been able to get more coils on it anyways. Like he would have been able to boost up.
Yeah, like you're not afraid of Muds coming in. He just knocks. Like there's not a lot left to do. There's not much that's really interesting in the game after this. False pretty much just wins. One really interesting like the only like quote unquote odd thing I guess is if you look at turn 28, you've got the Sableye versus Silvally Fairy, and False opts to switch out because Sableye is weak to Silvally Fairy. Didn't quite get that, just because if Sableye burns the Fairy right now, Throw just auto wins, and Serene Grace can do literally nothing. Like, he still won for free anyway. It just slightly... I don't know. I think Burn was... I think Wisp was free.
He didn't need health on the Simisear at all.
I mean, he didn't need health. Going Simisear was fine. It's just, I feel like if he clicked Wisp, he pretty much just had it. Even if he missed,
he didn't have to make this play.
No, he didn't have to make it at all. I'm just trying to... There might be a sequence where, like, he wants to keep the Sableye if, like, Primeape can't clean.
I don't know.
And, like, he somehow can't kill the Mudsdale.
It doesn't even matter. Like, Spec Simi gets a kill... Then he sacks something. Then Spec Simi gets another kill. It doesn't matter.
Like he didn't really need much because any damage would have put it in range of Primeape or Throw or anything for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with this team.
It didn't really matter what chipped the Mudsdale. It was just the matter of who got the last kill.
Yeah. It is kind of funny though to see the Mudsdale like 1v1 the Throw. Obviously, there's like a single crit that helps it a little bit, but still. Mudsdale nice, Throw not so nice. But yeah, this is pretty free for False. So that's the game. Serene Grace not like the spikes were there, but for the most part matchup just not so good. Geez, it's been 53 minutes and we have 2 to get through. Let's. Oh man, and one of them is Ryza versus Sam I Am. Okay. They both have kind of like they're more default offensive teams, I think, where Rises ends up a little more different with like the Quillfish Cryogonal type thing, and Sam's just looks like a very basic Sam team where you go, wait, isn't this team kind of bad versus Scarface late game? Wait, isn't this team kind of like troubled by Kangaskhan a lot? But it still has all the offensive pressure to do what it wants to do, I guess, because that's just what Sam does.
Yeah, I,
Like I can't be super
Took the
positive
words.
on it, but I can't be
Yeah.
super negative on it either. Just like that's his thing. It's been working good.
yeah, that's him.
That's Sam, all right. So they start out, and we see it's a special victory bell, and I'm immediately really happy. But other than that, it's kind of just a lot of doubling round click moves. Ryza gets the rocks, and then he goes hard Kanga. Um, Fakes out into a Muzz. Like this kind of starts out pretty basic. Sam risks a speed tie with his Victory Bell though, because he cannot switch into Victory Bell like whatsoever, which is unfortunate. But with an offensive team like this, like I kind of get it. It's not a lot of Victory Bell switch-ins you can fit. He also shows off he's physical Swanna with Brave Bird and Life Orb, and can't kill Rise's Mudsdale even after it's lost its Agua Berry, and that was really funny because why? Like I get it chips Eel better, but it really sucked for him that the Swanna was physical, and the first two things that Sam lost were both of his fighting resists. So at this point, like in theory, at turn 12, I think we can agree, Kangaskhan plus Scarf Primeape should have won this game.
Yeah, especially with Vic there to like kill the Muds.
Yeah, or Cryo. Like at this point, I think Ryza should have won the game. And from here, like he ends up not winning, spoilers, and it just kind of, it's hard to pinpoint major flaws in what he did. There are small turns where like he could have done this. Like I think this is the farthest back you can go. Like, okay, you're at this point, way better. Now what are you gonna do? You feel me?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where like it went wrong. Like he had a ton of tools to just say no, you can't switch into me. Like I'm just gonna kill you.
Also, Ryza knows the Mudsdale's lefties and not Agua, so I think one first thing that could have happened is the Kangaskhan doesn't double edge the Mudsdale to chip it. Instead, he goes hard Victory Bell. He could have double edged there. That would have helped chip it for Primeape later. Then the Victory Bell comes in, kind of just leaf storms into Eel, and then he sacks Cryogonal. I guess that's mostly okay. Like, it's not great, but you needed Eel chip at some point, I suppose. He gets the good U-turn on Mudsdale's. Like, so far, so good. But then he lets Sam pivot in the Simisear on the Leaf Storm. Like, obviously, if he had Sludge Bomb, that would have been good. Or if he had Sludge Bombed. And I think there's no way Sam was leaving in Mudsdale. Because if he does, he automatically loses. So that was probably a predict he could have made. But I still get why you wanted to play it safe. So it's not like, oh my god, misplay.
Yeah, I think he maybe could have kept Cryo.
Yeah,
he just kind of lets it die to Eel.
Yeah, I questioned second Cryo, where you could have gone Eel and then on the Flamethrower into the... Like, he's Flamethrowing the Victory Bell. You could have gone Quillfish, sorry, and then set up a Spike at least, and that would have been Chip to say, kill the Simisear after Leaf Storm and 2 rocks. It's not coming in again, whereas in this case, it took rocks in the Leaf Storm. It can still switch in one more time. That really sucked for Ryza. Like Quillfish is just generally less useful. I think that would have been the sack.
Yeah, and I think Cryo, just looking at like the last 4 of Sam, would have done really well. Persian can't kill it. It recovers on Eel after rocks. Like Knock will hurt, but it won't kill you. You outspeed Simisear.
And you chip the Mudsdale, yeah.
And you chip the Muds heavily, which would have just allowed Kanga Primeape to win, period.
Yeah, but instead, like, he gets Victory Bell in twice, kills neither Mon. Sam gets to kill the Cryogonal and then the Quillfish. The Simisear is still alive after rocks. All of a sudden, Sam looks really good out of nowhere. It's like, you had to pinpoint all these, like, small turns where it went wrong, where Ryza just should have made, like, one more play. He close combats into the Mudsdale, which means now you got to make another sack instead of, like, U-turning. But even then, U-turning, I don't think it would have won at that point. I think it's really that short period of time between turn, what'd I say when he should have won? 14? Turn 12 when he should have won, into turn 18 where it looks like completely lost. Where it's like, none of these plays individually seem to really suck, but at this point there's so little Ryza can do, he just tries to double around between the Vic and the Primeape, and like,
Yeah, I just think not sacking Quill and sacking Cryo was a big one.
Yeah, I think
he
going hard
misvalued
Quillfish.
Cryo.
Going hard Quillfish to me would have been the biggest straight up you should have done this for sure thing.
Yeah.
At least in my mind. Obviously, there's reasons why he didn't, but and the game just ends up being a lot of strength saps into earthquakes into blah 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 because he doesn't want to leave Storm, and eventually the Mudsdale dies and Sam just revenges the thing. So that's that game. Unfortunate, I guess. And then the last one where we have Kaladin is Sam. Not Sam I Am, Sam the Smogon admin.
No, Kaladin is Roses.
Yes,
You're right, I'm sorry. Kaladin is Roses. Yep. Roses is starting over Kushalos because that team's still working out their PU slot. That's the slot that used to have Gary the Gengar. SSD 3 participant is Sam the Smogon admin who subbed in over Katut. We don't know why he couldn't play. He just couldn't play. They both have... Sam, the Smogon admin, has an old like Tasker sample type thing that looks really out of date for this meta. If I'm going to be honest, I don't like using it. It's slow.
It's literally Tasker. It's literally Tasker V2 with one change.
Yeah, it's slow and it's got the rose and it's weirdly weak to things like girders. Probably scary, and I don't like this.
I do not know to Jellicent too, despite having the rose.
Yeah, I mean, think about the new things that have really popped up in this meta. Like ban, like
regular Jellicent.
Offensive, obviously, yeah. So like things like Victory Bell, probably kind of annoying your pivots, even with the Eel Rose and Sandslash because of the way your team is constructed to be this kind of fat thing. Band Absol, that's another new Mon that's popped up. It's like, well, that's really going to be a problem. These kinds of things where it's just old and problematic, I think. Rose's team, I believe, was made by Specs this time.
Yeah.
I think last week I said their team was made by Specs and it wasn't. It was made by Kushalos or something. This team was...
It was somebody else, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a really cool core where he's got Specs, Jellicent, Scarf Ape, Band Skunk core as like strong and fast coverage, and then Mud's Eel is like your fat thing, and Swanna is like a bit of a glue. Watarium Swanna as well to do more
to Eel.
Yeah,
it was Band Ape and it was Scarf Skunk.
I'm sorry, Band Ape, Scarf Skunk.
Yeah, we didn't really make it in preparation for K-Tut. It was more just, we don't know what he's going to bring, and Roses is good, and he can pilot, so we definitely weren't expecting... What's up?
No, I was going to point out the fact that I really do appreciate like the bringing of like Choice Banded Primate in a situation where you can like use Skunk Tank on this particular build to like revenge kill other stuff without having to worry about like foregoing your close combat switching. They still have that strong pivot, that strong banded U-turn into the strong pursuit trapper, and then all the stuff you have just to like weaken the Electros in general. It's just like very well consecutive team.
Yeah, it was just to abuse the great defensive core of Vic Muds, and then not Vic Muds, Eel Muds, and have a bunch of threats to kind of play around with, have those strong U-turns. Jellicent is an underrated breaker. I think Watarium Z caught Sam in the game at one point. And then Scarf Skunk is just really cool to clean.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought for sure that the Swanna would be flying him in this case, but...
Yeah, I think it generally works. And I like how you said, Roses isn't like super familiar with the tier, but he's good at pivoting, and it's pretty basic, intuitive, and I like that. And obviously, it's the kind of team where you can point out, okay, nothing's going to switch into Specs Auroras, and it can pivot in on a couple things. Yeah, sure, but or Scarf Auroras, I mean, is probably an issue. But like overall, the threat management that Roses has, I think, is enough to where I like the idea going for here. And obviously, it helps that like it seems that whatever Katut might have been thinking about using, he never passed it, because I don't think there's any way this was the team Katut prepped. Let's be real.
No way in hell.
Yeah.
Me and Rose just communicated well and said, hey, what do you want to bring in PU? Like, I know you're not the most comfortable in it, but, what kind of build?
Yeah. By the way, guys, this is how you get drafted for Snake 4. Just saying. This is what you do.
Hey, I'm working on it.
And yeah, I don't think this game was super memorable in a lot of ways, other than like showing off Rose's team, so that we can say in hindsight, hey, that's pretty cool that had a Specs Jellicent. It was mostly just Rose's playing this like pretty well. Turn 1, Sam gets his Roselia knocked, so Specs Jellicent's gonna just be clicky buttons. Oh, I didn't mention, it's also U-turn Electros. I really appreciate that. I think just that free pivoting on Mudsdale without the 50-50s and stuff is always fun and nice and good.
Yep. Especially on a team with double water.
Yeah, I think it makes complete sense, and I like it.
Thanks.
So yeah, Rose just starts off by getting all these good pivots. He's going to get the U-turn. He's going to go Primate for another U-turn, forcing the Jellicent, get the Eel back in. Like, he's doing good. Knocks the Colbur off. I don't have to go over every turn. I think he pretty much just pivots this pretty well, and he gets the Specs Jellicent in, gets a kill with Water Spout, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, he heavily abuses this outdated build. Like,
yeah, he literally only changed Jellicent to Curse Body.
Yeah, I think they should have picked like an updated sample. Like, I think he would have done better with that.
Even that, yeah.
Have one?
Yeah, we have samples that I think are still pretty reasonable for this
we
meta.
Have some updated ones. Even like
I'm only asking because the last time we asked, there was no sample team with Electros on it.
Okay.
I don't think there is one.
There still isn't, but I think. And yeah, we should have a basic Eel Vic type thing. I was gonna like make that happen ASAP, and then I realized, hey, get tier shifts happening the day after we're recording. I just couldn't be bothered.
Yep.
Tier shift is going to change things. I'm aware of what's gonna happen. I'm not saying anything, but it's the meta's gonna look a bit different. So whatever.
Epic foreshadowing. We get nothing.
I mean, it definitely might be up by the time Untier Talk goes up. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be up just later that day. But anyway, yeah, fine play from Roses. He gets multiple kills with Specs Jellicent doing Specs Jellicent things. At one point, like the Waterium Swanna is really good for getting to Hydro Vortex the incoming Alolan Sandslash, where Sam probably thought it was going to be, Flyinium. And there's really not a lot to say about the individual turns, which I like because it's already been over an hour. So,
no, keep going.
Go use Specs Jellicent, people.
Specs Jellicent is a cool
really
thing.
Spam Hydra more often. When I guess he didn't see the Curse Body on the Jellicent. Like, even though you're not doing much with Specs Hydra, you're still chipping it for like 30.
Yeah, it did like 27 or something like that.
Like, to his credit, Sam keeps it a little bit close just because the Jellicent plus Kanga plus Muds ended up being pretty nice for him, and he got a lot of plays right, pivoting into he's going to Hydra, I go Jellicent, he's going to Shadow Ball, I go Kanga. He gets that, like, strings from along to make it pretty close in numbers. It just felt like Roses was overall in control, and Sam could have won if he played even more extra betterer, but it would have been, I don't know, it would have been real hard. And Roses never really felt like he was in a ton of danger.
Yeah, he didn't even use Skunk that much. I think Skunk was really good in the matchup. He just clicked Crunch last turn.
Oh yeah, he never even tried to pursue the Jellicent because he didn't need to.
Yeah,
so
he never did. His sequences just kind of worked out. He didn't need to.
Mm-hmm. So those are the Snake games, and all we got is the next week predictions, which I tried to pull up on my computer, then realized screen capture doesn't make that look good. False versus Ziri. You guys go first.
I'd give the edge to False. I think that maybe they're going to go with a safer build this week. Evie and HSHEB, they're going to pass him one. I just don't think that last week's fighting spam, no removal.
Yeah, that's not going to work again.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to try to pull something like that again. I think they're just going to go with the
they have cool concepts, but they have weird support.
Yeah, I just don't think that like everything comes together. Like they have that thing that's really cool and could work. So I think False is the better player overall.
Yeah, Ziri's on a bit of like the Ziri Telenet core. Like I said, they went 0-2, and now they're 3-2, winning the last 3 weeks pretty nicely. And they've got a lot going behind them. I really do think this is.
So the fact, I just don't think.
Hey, Tone.
What?
I was almost done with the sentence. I was just totally cut me off. What was that about? Hey. Fucking New York drivers.
Oh my god.
All I was gonna say is I think that Ziri's got a lot of the momentum behind them, and even though the false Eva Jad core feels like a really big good thing, it's been And I think this comes close to 50-50 or even Ziri's favor just because of what we've actually seen happen so far.
Do you want to go now, Tone?
Oh, can I talk?
Yep.
No, I was pretty much going to say that I was going to lean more towards False in this case because I really don't feel like while what worked with Ziri this past week with like the Sash Shoma Star, I don't think those sort of like I don't want to say shenanigans, but like unexpected sets will work against False in this like particular matchup. Like potentially, but I just don't see it working like as often. Like I don't see it working again in this particular sense.
Yeah, I'm also a lot more objective with like I usually think of predictions as even matchups, like who's going to be the better player, who's going to win. Because it's very hard to think about like what people are going to bring. You can kind of make like assumptions or
I don't think you can always assume that. I mean, again, it's the most basic example. Look at Katut. You would always predict against him if you're going to be like, who's the better player, except when he's facing Tom, I guess. Or, I don't know, could probably give some people, like Ziri, I guess. But, overall, if you weren't factoring in matchups, you wouldn't be predicting in favor of Katut. Because even the people who are like, yeah, Katut's really good number 2, they're not saying Katut's a better player than everyone. They're saying Katut just has that strong prep. I think you got to take that into account. But yeah, I really kind of want to call it 50-50 here. I don't even think it's a matchup thing. I just think Ziri and Telenet have a lot behind them, been coming off a lot more successful. Tom versus Ryza, I think this is the easiest to say. Ryza feels much stronger. Tom's team is 1-4 with their win being HT versus Shrug. Tom is 0-3 and has just been not figuring it out. Ryza is down to 3-2 now and definitely messed up versus Sam, but still feels really strong and solid in this tour. And also, like, the best record is 4-1. 3-2 is not far off that at all. So,
yeah, it's I don't have much to say. I think Tom can pull it out if he gets his building together and kind of figures out, because he's still sort of new to this gen.
Yeah, obviously, there's a chance. It's just
like the experience will help eventually in the long run. But I still
of course,
Ryza, like just from building overall experience.
Yeah, and you know what? He's got a chance. He might take one eventually, but it doesn't. It's hard to. It's until that happens. Hard to predict for him. Soulgazer versus Katut. I really don't think Soulgazer is going to get janked. I think Soulgazer's even more than Teddy. Teddy lost to Katut, but that was hacks. Even more than Teddy, I think Soulgazer just gonna kind of be safe and good versus it, which is weird to say because Soulgazer is the guy who's like new to the tier, like picking up the stuff. But I think he's been so solid at it. I have a hard time imagining Katut pulling off like the big jank upset.
Yeah, I really just don't know with Katut. Like it's very hard to.
There's also that, yeah.
I'd give it like maybe a 60-40 to Soulgazer. If anybody can pull something out and win, it's K-Tut. So.
It hasn't been confirmed that he'll try to play this week, or he gets subbed out again.
Yeah, Soulgazer's already played Teddy and Tasker, so I'm just going to be predicting for him no contest for the rest of the tour. But
fair,
yeah. I mean, nobody else is looking the strongest. He is. Teddy and Tasker are the people who like could rival him. They've already played. What are you gonna do? Roses versus Sam I Am. This one also feels pretty interesting. Sam's been coming back with his like just standard offense kind of thing. He's 2-2 now, or is he 3-2? No, he's 2-2. He's doing okay.
No, he got subbed a week. Yeah.
Yeah, he got a win versus Ryza. That's pretty good. But I think Roses showed that, like, hey, I get some good stuff. I can pilot well. He's got you as a builder, and I think like, well, here's what I'm going to try to do to figure out how to play against Sam. So I think this will be a big test for Sam. Sam is often the kind of person who feels like he's being tested. It's like, can he manage to overcome a very strong player with someone who's probably prepping for Sam stuff? And I don't know which way I'd predict, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I can't really predict.
Yeah.
Me helping, but I hope Rose wins.
There, I finally did it. I swear I'm sick, guys. Well, it'll probably sound different too. And then the last one is Tasker versus Teddy. Tasker's looking good, but Teddy is the one I'm predicting for because is Teddy. Tasker also didn't play this week, by the way. He got subbed out. He was going to play false. Serene Grace came in for him. So that's the thing. Tasker's also 2-2. Teddy's also 2-2. Yeah, they're both 2-2. But Teddy's Teddy. And like Tasker's real good. I don't think Teddy has 80-20, but it's Teddy.
Yeah. They almost know John to this game. They almost played yesterday, but Teddy apparently said no.
Jeez. Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Tasker is ready. I think he has something made already.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
Yeah.
He's done no Johns before in PUPL, so.
Yeah, I'd give the edge, but I think that Tasker can for sure pull it out. I mean, he's
I'd still say it's
Tasker's good. It's a best of one situation too, so you always have the options for getting that thing that catches the other dude off guard. Not saying that he needs it. Tasker got chances. It's not a blowout, but Teddy's still Teddy. So this is gonna be fun.
I want to exclude any hacks too.
Yeah, I just want this to be the cleanest game possible because it's a good match.
Yeah,
wishful thinking, but it's
for sure.
There's only going to be that one play.
It would be nice, especially from these two players who are both 2-2 but should be 3-1 because they had some real unfortunate. Teddy honestly could probably be 4-0. It's weird to say for him because Kushalos, but also his Soul Gazer win, whereas Tasker's obviously should be 3-1 after the Hurricane stuff. So I want both of them to win in a clean and close but fun game, but they can't both do that. So
yep,
let's have them all for a tie and see what happens.
Okay, I'm really sick and I've been recording for an hour and 15 minutes. This is bad, guys. This is not good.
This is the content I sub for.
This is the content exactly.
I love long videos.
I shouldn't be on this content grind when I'm feeling like this.
Why not?
I want to go die. All right, I'm cutting off the recording. No,
don't
gimmick.
say that.
I'm so tired.
You want to go die on episode 69?
I'm so sick and tired. Oh God, it's episode 69 and Jad's not here. No.
We never acknowledged that until now.
Yeah, we didn't even make the joke. God damn it.
Okay, remember, folks,
so
there is no ethical consumption under capitalism.
With those in comment section down below.
No, comment nothing. I'm gonna go die.